This is my audience for my persuasive speech. And I'll be handing the camera to this gentleman right here. Have you guys ever been in a public place and all of a sudden you see a blind person and you don't know what to do? Different emotions might come into your mind. You might feel fear of getting in their way. You might feel sad for them. You might be concerned. You might be surprised that they're right there at the bus stop or wherever you are. You might be embarrassed that you do feel this way. And you might feel like you need to do some things, like just get out of the way so that you don't trip the person. And you might feel like you need to help in some way. And you're thinking, I'm going to try not to stare. But guess what? They're blind. They can't see you, so that's okay. And you may not come into contact with very many blind people. But the fact is, they are in our communities, and it is imperative that we assist them when we come into contact with any of them in the public place. I became very interested in this subject a couple of weeks ago when I went to Atlanta with some friends of mine, and we had bought tickets to this tour. And with the ticket came Dialogue in the Dark free tour. And we thought, okay, that sounds good. And we went to that, and we're standing in line, and the person gives us the blind walking stick and shows us the proper way to use it, and then shuffles us, 10 of us, into a room, and we all take our seats, and then the lights go completely out. You can't see anything in front of you. All you can do is hear, smell, and touch. Then our tour guide comes in and introduces himself. He's a visually impaired person and has been for 5 years, and his name was Calvin Hill, and he said, please call me Cowboy. And so we did, and he asked us to come up to him, shake his hand, and introduce ourselves to him. And that's all he said. And then we went to several different rooms in this tour. One was a park. We had felt, he didn't tell us anything, by the way. We just went into these rooms, and he said, where do you think you are, based on what you're hearing, smelling. We heard some birds singing. We felt a trash can, a park bench, felt the mulch underneath our feet. So we were in the park. Then we move on into the grocery store, and he tells us, you're going in the grocery store, but I want you to shout out some things that you are feeling on the shelves. And it was hard. We felt some things like onions, because you can smell that, and ketchup bottles are really easy to feel. But there were several boxes that were very similar in size, and when you would shake it, you'd be able to hear different things, but really hard to tell what they were. And definitely couldn't see prices or anything like that. Then we go on, we are in a boat for a while, we smell sea salt and hear the seagulls. We start crossing a street later, and he's telling us to listen for the crosswalk, the beeping. And you hear all these cars going by, and we're trying not to trip each other with our sticks, and the thing starts beeping, beep, 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 beep. And he says, come on guys, you're going to get run over. And so we're trying really hard to get across the street. And then we sit at the end in a little cafe, still pitch black, and he says, now you guys can ask me anything you want to. So I had the opportunity to personally interview Calvin, or Cowboy, and I was able to ask him several things, which we'll talk about later. But in order to be able to properly assist a blind person, there's a couple things that we need to discuss. One, there are aspects of their daily life that they have challenges with that you might not even think of. And there are possible issues that the blind come across when they're in a public setting. And then the third thing is we're going to talk about how you can assist the blind when you do come across them. Now, according to Calvin, or Cowboy, there are challenges in their home, like food preparation, things you might not think of, like getting dressed, mismatching their clothes, cleaning, caring for their seeing eye dog if they have one, and using a personal computer, their telephone. Those are just a few. And also there are challenges in the public setting, like taking transportation, shopping for necessities they have, like we just talked about, interacting with people that they've never met before, possibly getting lost. What do you do then? Ordering from a menu. Those are just a few in the public setting. Then there are challenges at work. You know, a lot of the visually impaired people still live a normal life and go to work on a day-to-day basis just like Cowboy. Well, can you imagine on his first day of work, having to go in and recognize what things are where and who people are, and getting to know the boss and their peers, and where the time clock is and how to work the time clock, and if there's any strange phone system with all the different codes on the phone, having to learn all of that. Just a few of those challenges too. So now that we've discussed some of those challenges, let's discuss what can be done about these challenges. Now, the Arizona Center for the Blind and Visually Impaired encourage us to be educated so that when we do come in contact with a visually impaired person, we'll know what to do. Sue Stevens, who is a visually impaired person herself, she is the resource coordinator of the International Resource Center in London, and she states, quote, "We have to understand their difficulties, recognize their abilities, and learn how to cooperate and communicate with them in a social environment." So what do you think Calvin feels when somebody does offer him assistance? He says, I would say, absolutely, I do need your help. Hi, my name is Calvin. Call me Cowboy. What's your name? He said he would be very specific about his needs because they remember big details in their life, like how many steps did it take them to get from one place to another. Certain smells in different venues, and the sounds of people's voices, just like when we introduced ourselves to him. I was amazed at how 30 minutes later, he still knew our name if we asked a question. Oh yes, Lisa, that's because da-da-da-da-da. Very impressive. And he also said that he feels accepted, normal, and honored when somebody comes up to him and says, "Can I help you with something?" So now let's talk now about what we can do to assist a blind person. According to the Arizona Center for the Blind and Visually Impaired, they have set out steps on their website that say, speaking to a person who is blind, you need to speak directly to that person. If they've got somebody else with them, don't speak to just the third person. Speak to the blind person like they are a person, because they are. Never, ever shout. They are blind and not deaf. And helping a blind person cross the street, you never want to walk up to them and say, "I'm here to help you." You probably will get punched, according to Cowboy. And you are to introduce yourself, say, "May I help you?" and offer your elbow. Never lead, never push. Let them take your elbow and then just guide. You can offer assistance in a store setting by giving a verbal tour of the store. The men's department's over here. To our right, we can go over there if you want to. The cereal aisle is just around the corner. You can verbally describe the items. They're looking for a particular color in a shirt, find it for them. Help the person stay in budget. If they have $20 to spend on that shirt, by all means, do not hand them the $150 shirt. Help them stay on budget. Hold their items for them that they want to purchase, and then take them to the checkout counter and help them with the checkout process. Sue Stevens, the lady in London, she says that when you're meeting and greeting people, be very, very precise in your directions and never leave without saying you're doing so. Can you imagine the person talking to you and you've been gone for 5 minutes? How embarrassing. And also you need to treat them normally, just like Cowboy said. Speak first by introducing yourself. Shake hands with them only if they offer their hand first. Explain different noises, smells, and sounds that are going on in the environment. If you come across any steps, stairs, or slopes, tell the person whether they're going up or down. Give the person time to get a firm grasp on the handrail, and give the person time to take the very first step, and then they'll get going. If you're offering a seat to a blind person, never take them and propel them backwards into the seat. Never do that. Guide them to the seat. Explain what kind it is. Is it a rocking chair? Is it a park bench? Is it a stool, a sofa? And then have them place their hand on the back, and they can take it from there. So today I discussed with you the challenges that blind people face day-to-day activities, and how you can assist the blind with these challenges when you're faced with them in your community. Now that you have a better understanding of these challenges and what you can do to assist the blind, I encourage you to let go of the fear, the embarrassment, the concerns when you come across somebody like Cowboy, and you'll find that it will actually really help you.